It's been 13 years since the U.S. set up the Guantanamo military prison. The number of detainees there is now under 125, less than a fifth of the men it once held.
But for President Obama, that's still too many. He's committed to closing the facility, a vow he made in 2009, but can he do it? VOA White House correspondent Pande tells me he's trying.
At its height, Guantanamo held 779 inmates. And the interesting fact here is the majority of them, more than 500, were actually transferred out during the Bush administration. And again, when President Obama came into office, he said this is one of the first things he did in the first month in office, saying, I'm going to start taking action, taking steps to close it. So you have this huge facility now that is whittled down to 122 detainees.
Matthew Levitt, counterterrorism fellow with the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, says the issue of trying Guantanamo prisoners on U.S. soil has been politicized from the beginning.
I think the court system is capable. I think that our prison system is capable. I don't think it would put Americans at any more risk than we are now, by virtue of having other people like them in the country, and I don't think that there is a real risk.
Ultimately, keeping Guantanamo open as the number of prisoners is whittled down may be difficult due to the cost, at nearly $3 million a year per prisoner. But Levitt says lawmakers should not make cost the rationale for closing the facility. Instead, they should shut Guantanamo because it's the right thing to do.
And we have had a shakeup of power recently in Congress. Now we have Republicans in control of both houses. How will that play into this?
Well, it's probably likely going to be much more difficult. I mean, you have some of the incoming new members of Congress have already said that they want to make it even harder. They want to make it even more difficult, even though the ban is still in place. And obviously, they're citing concerns like you can't have men with links to Al Qaeda or suspected links to Al Qaeda, men who are deemed to be dangerous, back on U.S. soil. But the argument against that the President Obama has put forth and other experts have put forth is that the U.S. Criminal justice system is more than capable of handling it. President Obama has said we have murderers, we even have terrorists. We've tried terrorists on U.S. soil and imprisoned them. And to say that we can't bring this small group of people back to the U.S. so we can close down that facility, it's just not, in Mr. President Obama's eyes, it's just not really a real argument anymore. We have tried individuals who are, officials say, more dangerous on U.S. soil.
Now, aside from the security concerns, what about the symbol of Guantanamo around the world? The longer that it continues to stay open, what kind of effect does that have on the reputation of the White House?
Well, obviously, a huge one. I mean, again, that was one of the main initiatives that President Obama put forth. He ran on, and when he immediately got into office, was we're going to close it. This is not only is it an embarrassment, but again, it looks like the U.S. is flouting the rule of law, which we have, and it is not right to hold people who have never been charged. I mean, how can we hold other nations accountable when we have Guantanamo still open? And that's what the president has said. So, I mean, he only has 2 years left in office. So obviously he has a lot of issues that he wants to tackle before he leaves. But this is, I think, in terms of, in foreign policy as well, a big one. He's made that pledge and promise, and he has 2 years to really get that through. And you see that you see these transfers that are happening, and you're seeing that they've really picked up the pace.
Trying to get closer to that. Is it
goal.
Realistic?
I don't know. It depends on Congress. It's Congress and President Obama being able to sit down and figure out, what do we do? How do we do this? Because, I mean, I can't imagine that people in Congress think that this is something that should remain open as well. Again, the majority of detainees were transferred out under President Bush's administration. So it's a matter of figuring out what to do and coming to a common ground. I mean, the only option that President Obama has is to use executive action to somehow get around this ban, but I don't think he really wants to do that. I think he wants to come up with a workable solution, working with members of Congress.
Right, a bipartisan solution that everyone can sign on to.
Exactly.
That was VOA's Pande, and Aru, of course, will continue following all things Obama for us.